But I literally have imposter syndrome. I still have I literally am like, I've performed at Just for Laughs, like, and I'm not trying to say this in like a gross way, but like a lot. Like, I've done a lot of things for Just for Laughs, and every single time that I do, I always feel like the awkward kid that got invited to the party as like a pity invite, and I don't fit in with all of the, I don't know what, I'm very awkward around like cool people because I always say the wrong thing, and I'm always like embarrassing myself, and then I get drunk and I embarrass myself even more. And that's Lyle, by the way. If I'm fucking wasted, it's Lyle.
Lyle? Okay.
Lyle. That's Lyle. Everyone knows. It's like this thing that everyone knows about me. It's like, is it Lyle or is it Kyle? It's like, it's Lyle. It's like, oh bitch.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is season 3 of Shooting the Breeze, and today my guest is Kyle Brownrigg. Kyle is a comedian who's originally from Ottawa, now lives in Toronto. He's the host of the podcast Best Actress, which he informed me was trending #1 on iTunes in Mongolia.
And Luxembourg.
And Luxembourg.
And Guatemala. And Brazil. And wait, we got one more, and Antigua and Barbuda. So
Bermuda?
Barbuda, I don't know. I'm #1 for film interviews. Yeah, yay! In those countries. I went to #1. So hello, all of my Barbudian people and all of my Mongolian people and Guatemalans.
Where Mongolians at?
Yeah, and my Brazilians and my Luxembourgians, and I don't even know what that is, but anyway, thanks for bringing it to #1. Host of Best Actress, check it out. I'm the host.
To the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you.
We're going to #1 in Brazil. What's up? So anyway, hi, hello, how are you? Is it Simone or Samone?
Simone.
Simone.
Yeah, Simone.
Because I knew a girl that she was, I don't know why this is relevant, very Jewish. She was very Jewish, and her name was spelled Simone, and she literally was like, it's Samone. And I was like, oh, but it's spelled, okay. Where it's like, hi, my name is Philip with an F. And you're like, oh, because you're saying Philip with a PH, and I don't like that. And you're like, what? Like, I'm confused. But anyway.
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
A lot of people pronounce it Simone. I usually say Simone, like the French way, but I'm so used to saying Simone.
Well, if you're from Montreal, so it's Simone. Simone.
Yeah.
C'est en français. Oui, oui.
Yeah.
Oui, oui. All my family is from Quebec. They're gross.
Oh, yeah.
It's that accent, you know, like there was like the Great Canadian Bake Off. My favorite, I don't know if you watch the baking show.
No.
I'm obsessed with it. Like every time there's a new episode, I shit. And literally, that's a good thing. And literally, there was one girl that was from Quebec that like got eliminated way too quickly because she was the show. Like when her cake was ready, she'd be like, oh, that looks so ready. Like just that French, super Quebec act. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, she got eliminated like halfway through, and I was like, this bitch should have gone to the end. Like she was the best part of the show. I loved her so much.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm not into the cooking shows. The thing is, like my sister is, she loves like the ones with Gordon Ramsay and
do you know what it is? I think everybody wants to get fucked by Gordon Ramsay. That's what it is. I think people secretly are like, I want to go to Pound Town with fucking Gordon Ramsay, and I'm like, I think
as he's yelling at you.
Yeah, like, and you're like, okay, like I'm not into that, but like I get it. Like I get it. Because Gordon Ramsay is too angry for me.
Yeah, it's just all the yelling. Just thinking about him, I'm like, I feel very anxious, you know, because I don't like that. I don't like being yelled at. I don't like seeing people flipping out. and stuff, it gets me very
100%. 100%. You're like, if you're going to talk to me like that, like pull my hair. Like, what
Yes.
do you mean? Like,
buy me dinner, then pull my hair. You know? Make it worth my while.
100%. 100%.
It's true.
I'm technically unemployed. I'm non-essential. So I'm unemployed right now, if you will, because as a comedian, as a performer, it's like for me, not having anywhere to perform, it's like being an Olympic diver without a swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I can't do my thing unless I have that essential tool.
A pool with water.
Exactly. If I don't anyway. So I don't know what we're going to get into on this podcast, but honey, I need to know all about the Ottawa gossip, bitch, because literally, I'm not even joking. I'm from Ottawa, and literally, like, I know all of the people, and literally, like, I'm obsessed with all of the drama, if there is drama. So like, let's talk drama. Like, I know that you're not supposed to, it's unprofessional, but like, I don't care. Like, I'm so down to just burn bridges today. I am down to talk some shit. Are we is this it? This is what are we doing?
Yeah, this is what we're doing. Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Okay, let's tag everyone that we talk shit about, and then you know, I'm at this point where I'm like, let's just carnage, just chaos. Like, let's just
a trail of bodies.
Yeah,
broken
like
bodies.
literally just fuck it. Like, let's just start some shit, and then that way my life will be so much more interesting. Let's just start a rumor. Let's just say
let's ruin lives.
Yeah, let's just start shit. Let's just make things up and just start shit.
Like fires wherever we go.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh my God. Because the thing is, I'm not really, if there's gossip, I don't know about it, which bugs me.
Oh, I know. Oh, honey, you call me. I have all the gossip. You want to know? I got gossip.
Oh my God. Because the thing is, it's like I've tried to not lay low, because like doing a podcast and everything, you're out there. But I know I've tried to, just because like I've been attacked a couple of times over the years, or like I had
like online or like physically.
Online.
Like, like that's concerning.
Online, like last February, and like February of 20, and I'm so glad I saw this later, because I was performing that night, and somebody, and I know it's someone in the comedy community, but I still to this day don't know who, left like nasty remarks on my website, saying I was a hack and I was going through a midlife crisis and all, you know, like yeah, just the stuff that I was doing. They didn't like it, you know, and
yeah. I mean,
they called me
I can't
a hack,
even.
and I was having a midlife crisis and all kinds of bullshit like that, and it really upset me. Like, it really rattled me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, thank God I saw it when I got home. Because I remember that night, like the show was early. The show was at like 7:00. So I just had time to come home from work, change, and like leave. And I saw it when I got back home. And that thing, like, it like wrecked me. Because I know if I had seen it before, I would have been like all fucked up and upset, sort of thing. And
you know,
it was so upsetting. It was really upsetting.
When those things happen, and listen, I understand. Like, I can't even tell you, like, I once had a video go viral, and the comments, I remember, were so problematic, but also like so like, whoa. And it was like, wow. And I remember I kind of let it get to me, and then I kind of thought to myself, I was like, oh no, clearly there's something that you are doing that is really pissing someone off because you're succeeding and they're not. So they want to take you down. So it's like this extremely problematic, abusive compliment in a way, in a backwards way. It's them being threatened by you, is how you have to see it, because if you let it get to you, it will destroy you.
It will. And the thing is, I didn't see it that way at first. I was like, someone, they hate me, and oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I was so upset. And then one of my friends said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Like,
The
this
thing
is
is this
good.
business is just, you have to be, when you get any kind of success in any industry, in the public, I mean, you have to be aware that that there are a lot of people that are either going to disagree with you, that are going to hate you, that are going to publicly talk about how much they hate you. And it's so easy to just be like, oh, don't pay attention to that. Like, we're human. Obviously, we pay attention to that. But literally, when it happens, I will say that, like, the more successful that you become, it gets easier. Because I remember the first time that something like that happened to me, like the very first weekend show I ever did. This was in 2012. I was performing at Absolute Comedy. I was in their summer competition. I just started comedy. I made it through to the finals. And it was a Friday night. And before, I had some stupid joke like, obviously, you can tell that I'm handsome. It's just a stupid, horrible, not funny joke. But before I could say handsome, some loser in the audience was like, a fag, like that, like so loud. And no one said anything, because this was literally, I missed the cutoff when like being gay was cool. Like, I missed the Lady Gaga years. I missed the Glee years. I graduated high school in 2007. So like, I missed all the, being gay is great. Like, I missed all of those years. Which is why I think it's so funny whenever younger queens like criticize me and my behavior. I'm like, oh, bitch, you have no idea. But anyway, completely different conversation. I'm getting off topic, but that was my first weekend show ever. And I remember at the time, I froze. Because I didn't know I wasn't equipped I just started comedy. I didn't know how to handle that. And that's a teachable moment. It's a learning moment, because you just sort of learn like, all right, well, the next time that something like that happens, are you gonna just stand there, or are you gonna fucking like, are you gonna let it destroy you, or are you gonna fight back?
Right.
And I learned to fight back. I find a lot of people, they find my confidence something to talk about. They go, oh, you're so confident. You're such a where does that come from? You're so confident. And you're like, would you be asking a straight guy that?
Yeah. Same thing with me. I get the same thing.
And so anyway, long story short, you have to decide if because those comments and that type of those feelings that they're trying to make you feel shitty about yourself, that's like anxiety and like insecurity knocking at your door. Are you going to let them in? Because you have to eventually decide like, no, bitch, this is my home and I'm not letting you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, anyway, there are so many egos and narcissistic shitty people in this business. And the less amount of comedian friends that you have, the better. Because comedians, we are all kind of gross. Like, we're fun to be around, but then whenever we have our low moments, like, we're kind of gross. Like last summer, I was drinking so much. I was such a fucking piece because I felt unfulfilled. So I was like taking it out on everyone around me. Because I, as a comedian, am equipped with like a wicked tongue. It's like, we learn how to think on our feet. We learn to say that exact thing. Where it's like,
that's what people are coming to see. And so we've exercised that muscle to say.
So if we want to hurt somebody, we're like, I know how to do that. It's very toxic. So when those people are messaging you, you just go, oh, clearly you were thinking about me. And I don't think, but what a coward to not even like identify themselves.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think if that happened this year, like I have better skills and things and I know more people and things like that to better handle it. But I was just like, I don't know, a few months in, like I was brand new. and I was like, ah, like just panic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think you know who it was?
No, no.
Wow.
I know some people who think they do, but I don't. I have no idea.
All right, let's spitball. No, okay. Like, who are we throwing under the bus? Ashley Krichenko. No, I don't know. What a bitch.
I love her. I'd be heartbroken if it were her, but she's not her.
She's like the one person I've met in comedy that like is genuinely caring. You're like,
yeah, she's so sweet.
You're like, what's wrong with you? Like, okay. I think it's because she's Italian. They're very like sensual. I don't know. They're very, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I love her so much. She's awesome. She's awesome. But yeah, no, I don't know who it is. So it's like I could be mixing with this person and have no idea, but you know, I'm still gonna do what I'm doing. You know,
you have to.
Yeah.
And just take it as a reverse compliment. It's like, okay, well, clearly you were threatened by me and I don't even think about you at all. I remember because I've been rewatching Mad Men. Love that show.
Oh, me
and
too. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. And there's one scene where John Hamm like didn't use one of his like copywriters ideas, and instead he went with his own idea because he's the creative director. And like the copywriter was like, you were clearly threatened by me. And he's like, I think that you're pathetic. And then Donald Draper was like, I don't think about you at all. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's true. You're like,
that is the ultimate response where it's like, we're done. Like just
exactly.
Boom, like drop the mic moment. It's like, I don't think about you at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause that like end of story.
It's amazing.
I'd love to have a moment like that. I don't think of you at all.
Yeah. And then you walk out.
Walk away.
They're like, I'm sorry, what? It's $14.95 at the window. What do you mean? Like you're just Oh,
here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh
my goodness. But yeah, so I think like like in a strange way, I find that the last year, like being in quarantine, performing like on Zoom, I've been doing that like since it's been a thing. And like I feel that like when things opened up and I got stage time and everything, like I felt like I was like I was stronger. Like I had become a better comic and things like that. I just felt, I don't know, I think talking to people also helped because I got like good advice and things like that. And I know one piece of advice that I think has really helped me. I got it from Carla Collins. Do you know her?
Yeah.
And I met her years ago, like way before I started comedy. I've always been a fan of hers. I saw that she was performing in Toronto at it used to be called the Flying Beaver Pub-A-Ray in Cabbage.
Yeah, I know where that is.
I love that place. And so I went, and I remember she walked by me, and I went like this, and so we started talking. We've become friends. So I spoke to her.
Nice.
I think she was like my very first guest last year, and
I love that.
And so I think I asked something along the lines of like advice, like what advice would you give a new comic, this, that, the other. And one of the pieces of advice that she gave me that I think has helped me the most was like, whatever you say on stage, like own it. Like don't ask to act embarrassed or shy about it. Just like own it and say it, sort of thing. And I know up until that moment, I'd be like writing jokes or doing things and going, ooh, can I say that on stage? Ooh, I don't know if I can say that.
You can't hold back.
Yeah. And so I followed that advice and it's helped. It's helped. So I still have moments where I'm like, ooh, is that too far? And then it's like, whatever. Just do it.
I think going too far is like, is it racist? Is it phobic? Is it ableist?
Yes.
And if it's not those three things,
it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly. So yeah, none of my stuff is like that. But yeah, it's like that sort of
Well, I
that's
will say
something that
this though, because you are in a very, because as a Black woman, you are able to get away with a lot more.
yes.
Where me being like a little privileged white guy, it's like I have to check what I say. So it's like there is that sort of, so if anything, you're kind of in a position where you could basically, even if you said something racist, I feel like everybody would be like, it's fine. Like I just feel like I'm like, it's okay. Like she, she's a woman of color. It's fine.
It's fine. Let
She
her
can
go.
say
Leave her alone.
that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've been aware of that. Like especially the last year with all like the racial tension and all these things going on. Like I've been acutely aware that like I can say things that a lot of other comics can't. And it's not. I'm not saying it for the sake of saying it. I'm saying it because I've lived it. And I'm coming from a place of, yeah, someone called me a nigger once, or a few times. I think I've been called that 3 times in the last 12 months, and
On
I've
like on the street or like online?
online. Yeah, I had a psycho
Oh my
pseudo
God.
stalker a few weeks ago, and I didn't.
Jealous.
I shot him down, and he came back with fat nigger whore. Yeah.
I would just be like, sticks and stones, honey. Sticks and stones. Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
It's
woof. I don't
gross.
even, yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's,
gross. It's
yeah,
gross.
that's really gross.
Yeah.
That's
And I was
bad.
like rattled by it, because I was like, ooh, this is disgusting,
Yeah.
And then I was like, how do I deal with it? I wrote a bit. I wrote a
Yeah.
joke. That was the only thing I could do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to write it.
It's crazy because yeah, like a lot of, I mean, I did a joke. Um, so I was doing a show in, oh God, what the hell was it called? Some, cousin fucking town in Ontario. And it was like Stone River, Ontario. I can't remember what it was called, but it was literally a town made up of like 3 houses. And that was literally, I'm not exaggerating. And the bar, the venue that we were at used to be someone's home that they turned into a bar.
Okay.
So we were performing in the living room and the kitchen was made into like it was actually kind of cool. But anyway, there was the bartender. So like when I was done my set, and I was only like a year into comedy at this point, I was done my set and I was down the hall because it was so crowded that you had to you couldn't sit. And there was like a corner, and then like into the corner, it like led into like, I think they turned it into a kitchen. And the bartender was like on the other side of the corner, and he didn't know that I was like around the corner, and he was saying horrible things about me and was like, oh yeah, that fucking gay guy, like I don't want him to like, you know if I bend over, I don't want him looking at my ass. And every single time that those comment, it's always coming out of the greasiest,
It's like,
ugliest pieces of shit. And you're just like, really, buddy? I
really?
would literally set myself on fire before I even came anywhere near your breath. Like, you are so offensive to all of the senses. Like,
Mhm.
absolutely not. Like, no, ma'am. And it's always that inflated sense of ego because
Mhm.
they're like a straight white guy, and you're literally just like, oh my God. And then he came around the corner and then he saw me and he was like, oh,
Yeah.
can I get you a drink? And I literally was like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
And then he said something to this, like, he apologized, and I, whatever that means. And then,
Yeah.
um,
Sorry you heard me. That's basically what it was.
yeah. And then on the way out, some guy started it with me as well, and like was like calling me a fag and like this and that. And then a legit fight broke out, and this guy like literally like came
Came
for me.
at you.
But then all the comics that I were with, they actually defended me. It was like Rebecca Reeds, Adrian Kronk, Jen LaBelle's then boyfriend. His name was it was like Anton or Jesse, I can't remember. And then they were all fighting, and then we had to get in the car and leave. And I actually turned it into a joke because that's what you do. It's a defense
Yeah.
mechanism. I
Yeah.
remember the joke that I did was, oh, wow. No, I completely got it confused. I was at a New Year's party and some guy literally just started choking me in the middle of the party because I was gay. And this was, again, I missed the cutoff before it was cool to be gay.
Yeah.
No one helped me and no one even stepped in. And I was literally in the middle of a party in someone's living room. I was like, my legs were pressed up against the couch and he was just like literally choking me. And I made a joke about it. And I said, performing in small town Canada is really scary. Like I've been attacked after shows. I was once choked in a parking lot after a show and I never reported it because I was so hard. And anyway, so it's like you take that and then so it's like you gotta kind of make a joke out of it because I'm not a victim in that. I don't want to be a victim and I don't want to see it that way. I just think it's like, because that's not about me. That's about them.
Yes.
That's their shit. That's not my shit. That's
Exactly.
their shit.
Yeah. It's
So I'll
their
make a joke
shit
about
that
it.
they're projecting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because the thing I wanted to ask you about the small town things is I haven't done a lot of small town shows yet. I've done some and
Mhm.
and they've gone fine,
Mhm.
but there's always that sense of trepidation when I'm going in. Like the first one I did, I wasn't thinking about it till I got to the venue and I was walking, parked my car and walking to the venue, and I
And
just
it's all
saw
pickups. Yeah.
all the pickup
Yeah.
trucks.
I know. I know it. Me too. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, and just everybody, and I was the only person of color
Mhm.
there, and so I remember getting to the door and people are going in and I
Mhm.
was just like, oh my god, like I didn't see not even to say didn't see another black person, I didn't see an Asian person, I
Right.
didn't see anybody. I was like,
It's just white oatmeal everywhere you go.
and
Yeah.
I was just
Right.
like, oh my god, and we're in a pub and like people have been drinking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I get in
You're like, is
and I
this a
go up
Klan
where the
rally?
comics
Like,
are and
yeah.
everything. And so when the show starts, I remember just scanning and it's just, and I was like, oh my God, like, what's going to happen when I come up here? Because
Yeah.
I was the only woman on the lineup.
Right.
I was the only person of color
Mhm.
on the lineup. And I was like,
It's
what's going to
intimidating.
happen
Mhm.
when I get up there? Like, they were
Mhm.
fine and everything.
Yeah.
But, like,
It's
I
always
recall,
surprising, right? It's always, you're like,
yeah,
oh,
and it shouldn't be like it really
yeah,
shouldn't be. But I'm always like, oh, thank God they didn't, like, I wasn't lynched or something.
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
dragged out back or something. But it's something that like the straight white males
Mhm.
are oblivious about. Like, why are you so nervous? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. They have no, well, I mean, that's privilege, right?
yeah,
That's the definition of privilege is they
yeah,
don't understand. I remember I did a show. I've done many road gigs with Pat. Do you know Patrick Hay?
no,
Oh my God, he's like this. He's like the Will Smith of Canadian comedy because he doesn't age,
okay.
and he used to be a model.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
he's like, I literally every time I meet people, I'm like, have you seen Patrick Hayes' modeling portfolio? They're like, I don't know you. Like they're just get away from me. He's one of those guys where like he could hook up with like a 25-year-old, even though I hate that, but like you know what I'm saying? Like, and he could just get away with it because you just can't tell. And
That's like me. Same with me.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I find black people age so much like all of white people, the second that they turn like 30 years old, we're like the old lady from the bathtub scene in The Shining. Like just like this like haggard, like like it's really unfortunate for us.
I'm 54.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm old.
Wow. I would
I'm
have
old.
given you, I'm not even joking. I seriously would have given you 42. I'm totally serious. I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your ass. I'm serious. But this is what I mean. Black people age so much better than white people. But anyway, so
I was like 42. What?
but anyway, so Patrick, he has fairly dark skin. I like your skin tone's a bit lighter. He's like dark skin. And we were doing a show in Erin, Ontario, and he brought that up. He was like, it's one thing for you to say that like being a gay person in town makes you uncomfortable. I'm the only Black person. And he's like, I'm very aware of that.
Yeah.
And then I, being like this like little suburban dumb white kid, I literally was like, oh my God, like, yeah, like that would have never occurred to me. And it because I know what it's like to be the only gay person all the time. So I guess in a way I understand what it's like to feel alienated.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's scary. But the thing is
yeah.
small town shows are actually kind of my favorite because
Yeah,
everyone
like
drinks.
the 3 or 4 that I've done, they've because nothing's happened, they've been like a lot of fun and everything, you know, and they've been cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I'm acutely aware of. And
Mm-hmm.
like that same show, like I try and record all my sets. And so I had set up my camera. The only place I could set it up was like practically in the crowd, like to get like a good vantage point of the stage and everything. So when I was watching it like the next day or something, I realized it's picking up like all the like people talking around, and I was just like, ugh. So when my name was called, there was this guy, he was like, oh, like this when I came up on the stage, and he's like, she's gonna be so good.
Oh, okay, because I was like, that could go either way.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like a it was like a like a
right.
And I was like,
or was he coming? It sounded like he was coming. He's just like, like just like that's how I come, by the way, like that. Oh, that's how I come.
So he made that sound, and he's like, "This is gonna be so good." And I was like, "I feel dirty now."
I want him to be French now. I'm recasting him in my brain, and he's like, "Oh, this is going to be so funny, so good,
so hot,
so hot, so hot." Have you ever fucked a French guy? Because I lost my virginity to a guy named Francois.
Yeah, my first like serious boyfriend was Benoit.
Oh yeah, they're freaks. French guys are total freaks. I'm not mad. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, they are freaks. Like literally, like I have caught some shit in my life that I had to go and get some penicillin for, you know what I'm trying to say? And I'm telling you that 2 times it was because of a French person. They're dirty. They're dirty boys. They're dirty boys. Sexy, but dirty boys. It's those damn French people. You know, I make fun of French people so much in my set, and so many people are like, oh my God, like you hate French people. And I'm like, yeah. No, I'm just like literally like, I'm like, I know. No, I make fun of French people so much because my family is so French, but my parents were just like, you know what? We're just not gonna raise him French. We're just not gonna allow him to speak 2 languages and really flourish. We're gonna clip his wings. Yeah. But everybody else in my family is super French. And whenever I show up to like a family get together, they all have to switch to English. Okay. Like I'm a cancer patient. They're like, guys, Kyle's here. Okay. Hi, Kyle. How are you? What did you do today? Yeah. Well, that's nice. Do you want me to park you over by the window so you can watch the birds? Like just that shit. And you're like, bitch. Anyway, although secretly, all of the women in my family, like all of my aunts, are obsessed with me. They're like, you're me. They all lean in at some point. They're like, you're my favorite. I'm like, oh, honey, I know I'm your favorite. I know I'm your favorite. But I make fun of my French family like so much. I make fun of French people so much, but they're like, you can't say that because you're not French. I'm like, technically I am.
You're like, kind of am.
I kind of am. It's just, yeah, my French is fine. I get very self-conscious when I speak French, but like my French is fine.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, French people are a laugh. They're a lark. As a culture, Quebec culture is so ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. I miss it. I miss it sometimes.
It's so silly. I was saying, you know, I was like, because I just a good friend of mine is Ryan Dillon. My boyfriend Daniel bought him coasters. I'll actually show you because I have one here. They're like these like they're like, he got them off Etsy. It's like a coworker of his makes these coasters.
They're cute.
So he, but yeah, sure, they're fine, whatever. So like he, you know, we brought a set to Ryan Dillon because he whatever, and then when we were there, because his vaccination is today, his girlfriend's was yesterday. I got vaccinated like a minute ago.
Yeah, I got it last week too.
What did you get? Moderna?
I got Moderna.
I got Moderna too. And we're gonna put a pin in that. We'll go back. But then you see, I'm doing it. I'm controlling the conversation. I'm sorry. This is what I do. Okay. This is what I do. I'm such a controlling person. I'm so sorry. This is your podcast, but I'm like, it's mine. And I said to him whenever I was talking to him, I'm like, I need to go to Montreal when this is done. And I don't know why. I need to go to Montreal. I need like my French fix. I gotta go and get I need to catch a finger in a gay bar. I need to be a giant whore in a gay bar. Oh, my boyfriend and I, by the way, we are 100% monogamish. And I need to. Okay, let's go back to Moderna. Did you have side effects the day after?
I don't think so. If anything, I felt a little bit, my arm was sore.
Mm-hmm. For days. Mine was almost a week.
Yeah, mine was sore. Wasn't a week. It was because I got the shot on a Thursday, and I'd say maybe by Monday, Tuesday, it started to feel okay.
Did you have any like side effects though? Like, were you? Because honey, I was hit by a fucking truck.
Were you? No, I wasn't. No.
Okay, like I had horrible joint pain in my legs, so I didn't stand. I had problems with my vision, specifically like right here. There was like a pressure that like if I tried to look forward in like a distance, it like got blurry and like I couldn't focus.
Sorry.
Hello. I'm just in my fancy apartment. I can't stop staring at all the little details in this apartment. Also, I can see someone else's house in the view. So, I was extremely fatigued, and my arm was actually kind of fine, but yeah, super tired. I had vision problems, I was aching in my legs, and I just had zero energy. I was so fatigued. Yeah.
No, I didn't have anything like that. My arm was sore for a few days. Mm-hmm. And then the next day I was tired, but I was like, I'm always tired. I'm also 54. Like, I don't know. I didn't know if it was age or what, but yeah. Like joint pain, like I didn't have any of that.
I had all of it. Apparently the second shot is even worse. And I'm like, oh dear God. I mean, literally like fuck me up. Like I'll take it, but like, ugh.
Yeah, because that's what I was hearing, that it's like this one, like I didn't feel, other than the sore arm, mm-hmm. I didn't feel anything, but mm-hmm. I've been hearing that the second shot I might get something. I'm like, ooh, but no, I was fine. I was fine after.
Okay, so I'm very curious.
A little tired, but
I'm very curious with this podcast. Do you have like a set of questions for me? Because I'm ready for questions. Give me a question.
I don't have. I don't have like an official.
You have no questions for me. You're like, no,
none.
No. I wanted to trap you on Zoom and just and allow you to make a fool out of yourself, and I have.
Well, the thing, I have questions, but like we were going on our conversation, so I was just letting that go.
I never stop talking. I'm sorry. I have a really bad habit. I've been working on it. And anytime that I have an opportunity to anytime I have an opportunity to like have a conversation with somebody, because I'm not working. I never shut up because I'm like, oh my God, I can be social. So I like never stop talking. I'm so sorry, not sorry.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
Sorry, not sorry.
Totally fine. Because so you said that, so you started comedy in what, like 2011?
I started comedy September 3rd, 2012, and I remember the date specifically because my dad reminds me every year. In a good way, not in like, remember when you started this shit? No, he's like my biggest fan.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it's a weird career, right? But yeah, I started in 2012 in Ottawa. I was the only gay, obviously. And the community at the time, it was Jimmy Cassidy, Joey Houlihan, Adrian Kronk, Rebecca Reeds, Matt Watson. Alex Wood was kind of one foot out the door. He was living in Toronto, but he was kind of like there all the time. Matt Carter, Nick Carter, um, oh, and what was her name? Kim Stouffer. So funny. So funny. She's a lawyer and she actually recently moved to San Diego, and like she didn't have time for comedy, but she was just such a talent. She was so naturally funny, so good. And when I started, it was like, and the gay guy, and the community was always so inclusive. They were always so nice to me, and I proved myself, and they were always it was always very I always felt very safe in the comedy community. But the reason why I'm prefacing it that way is because they had no idea what to do with me. They didn't know what shows to put me on. They didn't know, like, what kind of audience I could. And I think that I educated a lot of people. I think that they didn't really know any gay people in their lives, and suddenly I was there, and I was a big personality, and I was kind of owning the stage, and I think that I think I educated a lot of people. I realize how gross that is to say, but I think I did. And I think that uh, when I left Ottawa, I thought, oh God, like I don't mix well with any of these people because, I've never really fit in. I've never been part of the cool kids. Like it's just
Me too. I was never the
I'm not
cool
that
kid.
person.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, whatever. But when I left, Jen Hayward like got me a cake and like had a little surprise party, and like all of these comedians were there, and I was just like
Wow.
I was like, oh, like you guys actually like me. I was like, I thought we were all just like being nice to each other. Now I regret all of those horrible things I said about you because wow, thank you. But yeah, no, when I was in Ottawa, I was um yeah, it was very lonely because it was like I was the only gay person. And I remember now whenever I come back to Ottawa, I feel like they're like my family. They're like really, but when I started, it was kind of hard. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like this long point that I'm trying to make is, yeah, I think it was kind of hard when I started because I didn't even know what to do with no one knew what to do with me.
So they had a party for you when you left.
Yeah, they had like this like fancy cake, and there was like some of my jokes were like on the cake. It
Oh
was
wow.
very like considerate and like very thoughtful, and I literally was like, it's very difficult to surprise me. I'm a very I need to be on top of everything all the time, and I'm a very observant person. So it's almost impossible to surprise me. And I have been surprised twice in my life. One time, my ex-boyfriend, when I was in college, threw a surprise birthday party for me that I genuinely had no idea about. He was so good at doing it that I was actually kind of like, I was like,
What else are
wow.
you
I'm
doing?
like, I was like, you don't even work, but you figured this out. Okay. Um, like, I don't want no scrubs. But like, bye. But I said, well, he's an ex. And then yeah, and then that was I've literally, and I mean that, I've been genuinely surprised like twice in my entire life. And that was
That was one of the
another example. I
times.
was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And I was like, this is so thoughtful because I would never do this for any of you. I was like, oh my God, thank you. But like, I feel guilty because I would never do this ever. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that was when I was moving to Toronto. And then, yeah.
When did you move to Toronto? When did that?
June 2017.
Mm.
And when I moved to Toronto, um, I remember like I was so cocky. I was like, I'm gonna come down here and I'm just gonna fuck shit up. And I remember when you get down here, you realize that there's like 100 people in line ahead of you, and you're like,
That's what I've
oh
heard. Yeah.
shit. And you're like, I'm okay. I had a serious reality check. Also, a lot of my jokes were very problematic. I had jokes that were borderline racist. I had jokes that were sexist. I had jokes that were, and Toronto definitely checks you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it gets it out of your system, and that's good. It's
Mhm.
growth. But literally, like in Ottawa, you can kind of get away with being kind of like a white privileged piece of shit. Um, that's harsh, but you know what I mean. And like you can get away with that in Ottawa, where in Toronto,
Yeah, it's
no,
not
no,
gonna
that's a
not gonna
no-fly
fly.
zone. Yeah.
Oh.
And I checked a lot of my fucking privilege whenever I moved to Toronto. I had to adjust. I had to basically start all over again. But I like that. I love the challenge of just like
Mhm.
resetting and like,
Yeah.
getting new material happening and stuff like that. So,
Oh, cool. Like what motivated you to start? Like were you always like a fan of comedy and always want to do it, or did you like fall into it? Like how did that happen?
it's funny. I wish I had. Everyone always asks me this, and I wish I had this like amazing story. But literally, like, yes, I was obsessed because I have really bad ADD, and people that have really bad ADD tend to quote things over and over again for no reason, and that's like one of my things. So if I see a movie and I like it, it's like I have to imitate it. Like, the first time that I saw The Emperor's New Groove when I was like in the 7th grade. I memorized the entire script, and then
Do it.
I would just
Reenact
say
it.
every line from the movie. And I remember I was on vacation with my sister. We were in a rented car driving through the Rocky Mountains in Alberta. And I remember she literally snapped and she was like, "Oh my God, shut up. Like, I know what the movie is. I've seen the movie. I don't need you to keep." And that, and so I was always a big fan of comedy and comedic writing and stuff like that. But I thought that to do stand-up comedy, you had to be a celebrity first, and then you
Then
could do stand-up. I didn't, I realized how stupid that is, but I literally just, it didn't occur to me that like you could
regular
just.
people could do it. Yeah, same.
Exactly. I didn't understand that. And then
Yeah.
a friend of mine, I was 23 when I started. A friend of mine, Emma, we were at my friend Leah's apartment in Westboro, and I miss that apartment. Also, if I ever lived in Ottawa, I would live in Westboro. I love
Oh, it's
Westboro.
beautiful. It's really pretty there.
Where are you in Ottawa, by the way?
I'm I don't know the name of the neighborhood, but I'm
You can
like
say Vinny.
Bank Hunt Club, that area.
Oh,
Like
so
South
that,
Keys.
yeah, you're kind of West End, aren't you? Is that like Barhaven?
No, no, I'm near the airport. I'm like a
South. Yeah, you're
10-minute
south.
drive from the airport. Yeah, I'm south.
Do you take the 97 to like get to where you need to go?
I drive.
Oh, thank
I
God, honey,
just
because so
drive.
do I. I
I
literally,
drive.
I had to go get cat food today, 2 blocks from my house. Bitch, I drove. I
I
drive
drive.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm such a lard. I don't even care. I'm like,
When
no,
I got
ma'am.
here, I was like, "Oh, I took TTC for years in Toronto. I'll
No,
do it."
in
And
Ottawa, you need a car.
yeah,
You need a car in Ottawa. The OC Transpo is literally like such a step down in your existence. It's just trash. I
because
agree.
I used it in Toronto. I used TTC all the time. I only had a
You have no
car
choice.
the
Yeah.
last few months that I was in Toronto because I inherited my mom's car.
Hmm.
But then when I got here, I was like, "Oh, I'm so used to taking TTC. It's not going to be a big deal." And
Yeah.
it took I think I took it 3 days, and then a big snowstorm hit, and my bus didn't come, and I was just standing there, and I didn't know like, okay, I could take this bus instead or this route,
Hmm.
and I was like, no, I'm
Fuck
driving
that.
from now.
I'm
Fuck
trying.
this.
I
I've
don't blame
driven ever
you.
since.
But we're gonna put a pin in this and go back to this because I need to just finish the story about the comedy thing. Anyway,
Yes,
so
yes,
I
yes.
was at my friend's apartment in Westboro, and then my girlfriend Emma was literally looking up the open mic Mondays that Josh Williams was running, And she was like, why don't you just do stand up? And I literally was like, you can do that? Like, oh, question mark. Like, I didn't know that you could do stand up. And I was like, I think I'd be really good at that. And then turns out I am. So I just she signed me up and then I did it. And then the rest is history. But oh my God, I remember when I did my first set, my sister was so nervous for me and then like put her anxiety onto me on top of my already. And I remember she handed me a glass of red wine and she goes, just pound it. And I was like, who's more nervous, you or me? So I did. I like slam jammed and it did nothing. Like it was
That's
just
how
adrenaline.
nervous you were.
I was, yeah. Because I'm a very anxious person. I'm a very neurotic person. I have OCD. I have general anxiety disorder. I have panic disorder. And I'm currently unmedicated. Oh, it just keeps things interesting, you know. Just I like to think of it as free range. I'm free range. Yes, I'm a scalding hot mess, and I just don't. I was on medication for a while, and I hated it. No boners, no bueno.
Yeah, that's the thing. They fuck up your sex drive. Yeah.
Oh, they fuck up your sex drive. So no, but you're horny, but you can't fuck. So you're like, I don't. It's like this is not. I can't like pick one. Like anyway. So I did it, and when I did my very first set, I was so nervous, and I'm not making this up. Hand to God, I don't remember it. I blacked out. That is the only time in my entire life that I've been so nervous about something that I blacked out in not a fun way. Like not that a blackout is ever fun. I'm just saying like I was sober and it was so much adrenaline that I did it. And you
don't remember.
The only thing that I remember is I had a table of my girlfriends. They were like kind of close to the front. And I remember I made eye contact with my friend Amanda. And I also remember, I don't know if I can show you, but like I kept wrapping the mic cord around my arm like I was a sound tech, like backstage. Like I was like, twitch. Yeah, I was just wrapping it around my arm and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? It's never happened since. But anyway, the first time that I did it, I did very well. I got a bunch of applause breaks. I genuinely don't remember doing it. My dad filmed it, so I've seen the footage of it. It's like I wasn't there. It's like watching it's like watching yourself do something that you don't remember doing and you're like, that's me, but I don't remember doing it. I was so nervous. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then it worked out.
Like at what point were you like, this is not necessarily I made it, but like I can make something of this. Like what was that like and when did that happen?
I don't even know if I don't even think I am like that now. It's more sort of like before I got into comedy, I used to be a professional illustrator and designer. So I already had an art background. So I understood what it's like to dedicate your life and sacrifice so much of your life for your art. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, illustration paid less than comedy. And I remember just thinking at the time, like, you know, it's not that I got this and I'm so funny. It's more just sort of like, I understand the business of an art industry and I understand how it works and how to work at it because I have a visual art background. So I understand how to transferable skills.
Right. Okay.
But I literally have imposter syndrome. I still have I literally am like, I've performed at Just for Laughs, like, and I'm not trying to say this in like a gross way, but like a lot. Like I've done a lot of things for Just for Laughs, and every single time that I do, I always feel like the awkward kid that got invited to the party as like a pity invite, and I don't fit in with all of I don't know I'm very awkward around like cool people because I always say the wrong thing and I'm always like embarrassing myself, and then I get drunk and I embarrass myself even more. And That's Lyle, by the way. If I'm fucking wasted, it's Lyle.
Lyle. Okay.
Lyle. That's Lyle. Everyone knows. It's like this thing that everyone knows about me.
Okay.
It's like, is it Lyle or is it Kyle? It's like, it's Lyle. It's like, oh bitch. But literally, still like, and I will be literally grabbing an award off stage. Like I won, like you can't see it right now, but I'm very proud of this. It's right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a Canadian Comedy Award for Best Breakout
Artist. I can see it.
And I was I'm very proud of winning that because I am the only gay male stand-up comedian to ever win one of those things.
Wow.
Sure, they're bowling trophies, but it meant something to me. And I was very proud of it whenever I won.
Yes, as you should be.
Sure. And even then I was like, oh God, like I am just an imposter and they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out that I don't know what I'm doing. And but here's the thing though, when I have my name called and I'm walking up to the stage and the moment that I grab that microphone, it's like me goes to sleep and then Kyle on stage wakes up and it's like this completely different person. My character on stage is a version of myself that's not me. It's this like hyper confident, fuck you, no BS, like I will, tell you where to go and how to get there. I own everything. I'm so confident in everything. But that's definitely not me. But when I get off, that's not who I am. But when I'm on stage, this is the character that I have created for the stage. And a lot of people have a hard time separating that. A lot of people see me on stage and they think that that's who I am. I'm like, if I was like that all the time, no one would like me. Nobody would want to be around me and it would just be exhausting. It's a character. It's a performance.
Right. Exactly. It's a performance, right?
But yeah, I feel like an imposter all the time. I have never been like, I got this. I always am. I think if you're a true artist, I think you always have to kind of doubt yourself a little bit because it keeps you humble.
Right. Well, I find that really interesting that, you've reached a level, like a great level of success, and yet you still feel that imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah,
it's really interesting.
But I think that's a good thing though, because I really think that it grounds you. Because whenever I go and perform at clubs and stuff like that, I always hang out with the wait staff and the bartenders. I have a hard time relating to comedians because most comedians are like straight white guys and like they're always so good to me. I don't want to talk shit about straight white guy comedians because they're always so good to me, but like let's be honest, we have nothing in common. But you know who I do have things in common with are all of the wait staff and the bartenders, because I literally spent like a decade of my life serving and bartending just so that I could pay my bills so that I could do comedy. So I'm very comfortable in that kind of industry where it's like if we were in Downton Abbey, I would be downstairs.
Okay.
And I'm the help, and I'm very much like I'm used to being and I don't think I'll ever, like, that stain on my shirt will never come out. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I will always be the help because I know what it's like to have to work those awful jobs. And then naturally I gravitate towards all of the servers and all the bartenders because I'm like, what's your shift? And I'm like, how are your tips? And then like I will adjust how much I give them based on like if they had a good night, you know what I mean? Or if they had a good night, I'm like, I'll give you like 18%. But if they had a really bad night and it's like I'm getting paid like $200 to go up on stage for like, 10 minutes, it's like I'll give them like a, you know what I mean? So it's like I tend to kind of, I have a hard time relating to stand-up comedians in general. And like I said previously, I think that's a good thing. I think the less that you hang out with comedians, I think it's a good thing, because most comedians are just walking, talking egos. And I'm very narcissistic. I can't handle another narcissistic person as a friend.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not that they're a bad person, but like, am I rambling? I feel like I'm rambling. Sorry. I'm like, am I talking too much? I'm sorry. I had a White Claw and I'm getting cocky. Oh
Oh
man.
man. No, because it's I find it fascinating. Like I like speaking to comics at different levels because the experiences and stuff are different or can be
Hmm.
different, but yet we all have something in common.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Debt. Yeah. For sure. No, I'm
it's
joking. I actually like fully have my shit together. Like I actually am very proud of that. I got a new car after cuz I was driving like a death trap for like almost 10 years. It was a 99 Civic with like chunks missing from the front and the back bumper, and like the where you put the windshield wiper fluid was like exposed, and like it was rusty. It was
oh
like
no.
the hugest piece of shit. And then I just got a new car to replace it like during the pandemic, because I literally was like I because it was a gift from my grandma. And I remember I called my grandma at Christmas and I was like, Grandma, like, would it be okay if I were to get rid of the car? And my grandma was like, Are you still driving that
She's like, you
thing?
still have that thing?
And I was like, oh, wow, this conversation is so much easier than I thought that it was going to be. Then we got rid of that and I got a new car. But like literally, like I actually like am really proud of myself for like having my shit together, because most comedians are like scalding hot messes.
Mm.
Like I have a nice car, and most comedians don't even know what a car is. They're like, bus fare? I don't under and then I'm in a stable relationship, and a lot of people in comedy are like, what's that? So I actually very much pride myself in the fact that like I make a lot of jokes about like my hot messness, because I have to, because it makes me relatable.
Mhm.
Because if I ever just was talking about how I had my shit together,
You're like,
nobody
I'm
would
so
want to.
together. I've got this. Yeah.
Exactly. No one,
Yeah.
no one
No
likes
one's gonna
that.
relate to you, and
No one,
they'll
no
be
one
like,
wants to hear that. And I think that's, for me, that's kind of like my biggest downfall, was like constantly I'm like, if I was just a fucking disaster, I feel like my comedy would be so much better. But whatever. Excuse me.
oh my goodness. Because I know for myself, like when you were saying that the character that you have a persona on stage,
Mhm.
um like I started very late in life and everything and never thought that I was like a performer.
Mhm.
um it's like my sister, my parents, like they could sing, my sister can act and do all of those things, and I'm like, I could do math equations sort of thing, I can spell sort of thing.
Yeah, you and I are kind of the same in that regard, where it's like, yeah, yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
We were
so it's
friends in high school, and you
we would
were
have
in
been friends in
band
high
and you
school.
played the
Yes.
clarinet.
Yes, exactly, I would have been triangle or
Yeah.
something.
I get it. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm kind of nerdy myself. I totally
Mhm.
get it.
Yeah, because like I never thought of myself as like an artist or a performer or anything like that. And like I'd wanted to do it since I was a teenager. And I told one friend back when we were like 15 or something that I was like, oh, I'd love to do that. And she was like, you should. And then years, like a few months ago, I interviewed her and my other friend, and she was like, you were so painfully shy. She's like, I didn't know how you would do it. She's like, clearly you've gotten over that. But
Mhm.
she's like, that was my only concern, was like how shy you were. Like,
Mhm.
how is she going to do this being so shy? Um,
That's funny that you say that, because my history teacher from high school, who got me laid, by the way, like later in life, I'm not joking. It was like, because she coaches like a rugby team, and there was a gay guy, and like, oh my God, he was so fucking exactly what you want him to look like, but such a bad kisser.
oh,
Oh,
yeah, bad kissing.
oh my
I
God. It
can't
was
with the
like,
bad
it was like,
kissing.
it was like this. It was like,
Oh,
it was just like it was like working off of a corpse. It was like, what are do okay. But
yeah.
he was, oh my God, he was so sexy, but he was such a bad kisser.
Yeah, the kissing, if it's bad, oh my God,
Oh,
no.
but like he had like a perfect body and like just so sexy, and then this just ruined
Ruined
it. I was like,
everything.
oh, I was like, no, ma'am. But anyway, she said to me, she goes, I would have never thought, I'm so happy that you found stand-up comedy. I would have never thought that you would get into stand-up comedy because in high school you were so quiet. I'm like, yeah,
So
I
my
was kind of
sister
dealing
said.
with some shit in high
Yeah,
school, in case you
exactly.
didn't notice. Sorry that I wasn't like super loud and proud, but like literally I was like trying to survive.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's
yeah.
true. Because my sister said the same thing because I asked her, because I started comedy, like my parents had already passed away, and like I started it when I moved here.
Mhm,
And so I had asked my sister, I was like, when I told you that I was going to do this, I said, were you surprised? And
mhm,
she was like, I was shocked. Because she's
mhm.
like, I had no idea.
You're
She's
like,
like,
oh.
yeah, she was like, because how did she put it? She said, if you had given me a list, if I had to write a list of like 100 things that
Mhm,
you would do, she's like, that wouldn't have made the list.
mhm.
She's like, I would have put like assassin or something before that. Cause I thought
Sous
because she was
chef.
like, I knew you liked comedy. She's like, cause you would go to shows
Mhm,
and stuff like that. You'd watch, like the VHS tape of, so and so's comedy. She's like, but I didn't know that you wanted to do it.
mhm,
So she said she was shocked. She was completely shocked. And then the friend that I had told, like when we were kids, when I
mhm.
told her, oh, I'm thinking of doing that, like she looked me square in the eyes and she's like, it's about fucking time.
Good.
She's like, I've been waiting for you to do something with it. She's like, because
Mhm.
I came out of my shell and stuff like that, but I was scared. I
You
was
know,
so nervous and scared to
I
do it.
think that a lot of people think that a comedian is like, you know, kind of like an angry white guy.
Mm,
Is like how I think a lot of people think that comedians are, like Jim Jeffries or like Anthony Jeselnik, or I wouldn't really describe Louis C.K. as like angry, but like you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
And I think that when you are any kind of minority or you're not one of the straight white guys, I think that we naturally are like, is it okay that I'm doing this? Like,
Yeah.
do I belong here? And it's like you kind of um actually shine brighter because people aren't used to seeing it.
Mhm.
So if you are, I think like your family being like surprised and stuff like that, I think that's funny because I mean clearly that's your relationship with them. I think that's very funny. But I also think that if you are a person that is going to surprise people by doing stand-up comedy, I think that makes it funnier. So it kind of lends to your experience a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I also thought that, like, are people gonna like, will they listen to me
Hmm.
first of all? Are they gonna heckle me? Are they gonna, shout horrible, like, sexist or racist things at me? Like, I had all these horrible scenarios in my head
Hmm.
because I remember I was probably in my early 30s, late 20s, and a bar I used to go to in Montreal, like once a month or something, they would have a comedy night.
Hmm.
And there was one night, there weren't a lot of people in the audience. And so these other comics, all white guys, came on. Funny, a woman
Hmm.
came on, and this man that was sitting there pulled out his newspaper and just started, like, ignored her, like, pulled out his newspaper and held it up. And she, like, addressed him. She's like, excuse me, sir. He ignored her like she wasn't even there. And I was like, holy shit. Like, he was just made a point of being like, you're up there. I'm not paying attention to you.
Don't you love that? I mean, I'm going to assume he was a white guy. Don't you just love how straight guys can just do that shit where they literally are like, boop, like,
Yeah.
don't listen. And
La
they
la
just
la la.
think, yeah. And you're just like, this is the personification of privilege because you are just choosing
Dismiss.
to, yeah, pretend like something is not happening because it doesn't fit your narrative of
Yeah.
everything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
um, yeah, if oh bitch, I would take that newspaper right
It
out of
was
his hand.
so, like, I remember just being like flabbergasted. I remember turning and looking at him and he was just like, making a point, just ignored her completely.
But people like that are literally like they have no friends, like
Yeah.
they're like
He
complete
was sitting alone.
loners, like they're losers, and you're literally just like whatever. Like
Yeah.
I live at like Church and Maitland, like I live like right in the village in Toronto, and literally like the people in my building are the definition of tattletale. And you're literally like, okay, like they have to report every little tiny thing on like the group. The like there's like a Facebook group like for the building, and like
Okay.
every little
There was
inconvenience
one
and stuff
when
they
I
need
lived
to
in
like
Toronto.
report it, and you just want to be like, you're such a loser.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're what? Like
Yeah.
you're like
Why?
middle-aged and you're like tattletaling on people on an online forum. Like does that bring you joy to be like a little bitch? And then you're just kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to get angry at this because like this is
It's
it for you.
pathetic.
It's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. And you're like, you know what? Like this is it for you. And you're just kind of like, whatever. So that fucking loser with the newspaper, I look at people like that and I just go, you're sad. You're a
Yeah.
sad person. And like
Yeah.
clearly you are threatened by anything
Absolutely.
that is like
Absolutely. Yeah.
different from whatever it is that you, and it's like, it's so weird that you're single. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. How'd that happen? Like,
how did
really?
that
Because,
happen? Because you seem awesome. Like,
but
yeah.
yeah, I like that. Just, I don't remember any of the other comics or anything, but I remember her and I
Mhm,
remember his reaction to her. Like it was just totally dismissive. He seemed like even like disgusted that like
mhm,
how dare she,
mhm,
with a microphone, like
mhm,
yeah, and like that stuck with me, and I was like, ooh, what if people like, and I guess I reached a point in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm tired of not doing things because I'm worried of
mhm.
what people will think or what people will say, and yeah, and it's like it was the best thing I could have done was to do it.
You got to do it. Like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people, they hold themselves back a lot. And I think like 70% of doing stand-up comedy is just doing it for the first time. People are too scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know that the very first time I stepped on stage, because I took a course with Pierre Bro
Mhm,
at Absolute Comedy, because I was like, I wanted to do it. I knew it wasn't easy, but I was like, I don't know how to write a joke. I want to learn like
mhm,
the architecture and stuff. And he got us up on stage right away, like to
mhm,
introduce ourselves and stuff. And it was the type of thing like I stepped on, it was like, ah, like the skies opened, and I felt so comfortable. And
mhm,
to this day, it's I feel at ease, like I feel at ease, confident, powerful
mhm.
when I'm on stage. Totally different. I'm a mess when I step off. I'm like,
That's the point though, right? It's a
yeah, but I feel
psychological thing.
strong and confident and all
Yeah.
of all of these good things when I'm on stage.
I think
You
that's
know?
how I understand drag. I think like when I see people that do drag, that's how they describe it. They're like, I feel confident, I feel powerful. I'm like, I think stand up is my drag, where
Yeah.
it's like I do stand up and it makes me feel like everything that I want to say and have to say is relevant,
hmm
unless it's bombing, and in which case, like, get rid of that. Uh,
But no, it's been like I'm glad I finally found it. You know what I
mhm,
mean? I'm glad I
mhm,
finally found it, because the thing is, like, I think back and I feel like I bounced around a lot,
mhm.
even though like I've always had a steady job and things like that, but I kept trying to find like fulfillment, like something that brings me joy, because
It's
nothing
that
really
piece
gave
of the
me joy.
puzzle that you didn't know was missing, and then
Exactly.
when you put, you're like, oh, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
And
no,
it's
I
like
get
I
that.
don't care how many hours I have to put in. I
Mhm.
don't care about like all the work
Yeah.
or driving around, because people think I'm crazy. Like I drive 2.5 hours for 5 minutes.
Well, you're doing stand up. Of course you're crazy. You have
Yeah.
to be crazy. This is the crazy
You gotta have a
business.
little bit of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like all of like all the things that go into it,
Mhm.
I love it. Like I'm not like, oh, I've got to do this for
Yeah.
comedy, or
You
oh, I
enjoy
got
the
to do that.
process.
I enjoy
Yeah.
the whole process,
Yeah.
and then um I don't I wouldn't say I get nervous.
Mhm.
There've been a few times, like my very first time I was nervous. Like I was nervous like a week before.
Mhm.
Um depending on like I know the first time I hosted a show, I was nervous. But like outside of things like that, I think it's more excitement. Like I can't wait to get up there. You know, I can't wait for the show. I can't. I'm just like super excited for everything. Like, do you get
that's
nervous?
good. That's a good attitude. I mean, for me, the thing that I hate about stand-up comedy is the build-up. I hate you have a show tonight. Okay, what time? And then I spend the whole day thinking about it. And then I spend like my whole, like, then I have to get there. And then like I have to sit there and wait and watch all the other comedians. And then I go up, and I hate the build-up.
Okay.
It makes me feel even more nervous. And then the second that I hit the stage, it's gone.
Yeah.
But like I hate the build-up
Okay.
very much. And yes, I get nervous constantly, all the time. And then when I'm not joking, it's like the second that I'm on stage, it's like this person that lives inside me that's often dormant is awake, and he's in control, and he's the one that's it's very psychological. It's very weird. I don't know how to describe it, because I think if people knew me off stage, I think that they would I think they would be very confused, because I'm a very like boring person. I'm very like I'm overly like loving and like protective, and I'm very like I'm very soft, where on stage my character is very harsh, very sharp, very no bullshit. So yeah, I think if people knew me off stage, I think that they would be. People tell me this all the time. They're like, "You're really not what I was expecting," and I'm like, "Yeah, like it's a defense mechanism. You kind of have to create that character."
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think like the character I have on stage is, apart from like the confidence and all of that, is very similar. I think. Because my style is like I'm naturally like soft spoken, and I'm not loud or like out there sort of thing. And that would feel weird. I think that would exhaust me. So thank you so much.
Of course,
I really
yes.
appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and I'm glad we got to meet, and I hope we can meet in person.
Yes,
whenever
absolutely.
the plague lifts.
Oh my God, I know.
Oh my God. And let me know how when is your second shot? Probably in August, right?
August 5th, yeah.
Okay, mine's in 19th.
Okay, so I get it before you.
Yeah, you get it before me, and I hope you're not hit as bad.
Oh God.
Second time.
Oh God.
That would be
probably will be.
I hope not.
Well, it was so lovely talking to you, and it's so nice to meet you. So I will see you when I see you.
I'll see you when I see you. Okay, thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.